live at the steps of the National Assembly building in Belmopan. We expected to come here for a protest, but what we have found is a rally. Only People's United Party supporters are out here this morning. So what we have received so far is a press release from the United Democratic Party informing us that they are boycotting today's Senate sitting of the National Assembly. That is very historic because the last couple times that the sitting has been boycotted was in 2024 when the leader of the opposition, Moses Shineborough, boycotted because of late notice. Previously before that, when the sitting was boycotted was 2011, when the People's United Party decided not to show up during the acquisition of the Belize Electricity Limited. They also mentioned short notice. So boycotting this is a symbolic gesture that they are not happy about the state of the democracy in Belize. So to kick off this coverage today, we're going to go to the Secretary General of the... We're going to go and check what's happening with the Commissioner of Police. We want to find out if there's a permit for a protest or rally here today by the PUP.
It was unfortunate that the United Democratic Party decided to violate the agreed upon bond permit, and it may have legal consequences for them. Our decision at that time was based on a professional discretion to have a peaceful outcome rather than escalate to the next level.
And what in relation, so there will be charges, you all have cameras out on that bridge?
Like I mentioned, the violation of the agreed upon bond condition for the protests is unfortunate, and there may be legal consequences for the organizers.
And that means that it's $10,000 bond, right?
The permit stipulates the bond that was agreed upon by both sides, by the party.
Can the penalty be that they would have to give up that bond?
Like I mentioned, it was unfortunate that they violated the agreed upon conditions of the bond to protest, and there may be legal consequences for the organizers.
Can you talk to us about what happened with Yellowman? We did see a suspect acknowledgement form that had an acronym which says being the member of refers to being the member of a gang, yet you said otherwise.
Like I mentioned, the members of the United Democratic Party reached out to the Belize Police Department of concern that they had that the Yellowman was trying to incite violence, and based on that he was brought in and interviewed. The investigation is ongoing at the moment.
You actually said that members of the party reached out to the police because they were concerned that there was going to be tension.
Yes, there are several members of the United Democratic Party that reached out to the police department based on some text messages that Yellowman circulated, and they were concerned that it might escalate to violence. And that's the reason he was brought in to be interviewed, and the investigation is ongoing. Like I mentioned, the investigation is ongoing.
Was that a tactic to de-escalate things and have the people move off the bridge?
Based on the information we received, he was brought in and interviewed, and investigation continued. There are several other things that we need to be able to do, before charges are laid.
Police mentioned that they have evidence that he did incited violence. Are you guys willing to share that to the media? As
a law enforcement organization, evidential material or investigative steps that we have taken, we cannot disclose so as not to prejudice the investigative process.
Is the police department ready right now to face possible lawsuit, because he did mention that he may also sue the department?
Like I mentioned, a crime was committed, and based on the information we received, the investigation is ongoing.
Commissioner, has a permit been issued for a demonstration out here today?
We did receive 2 applications, one from the NTUCB and one from the PUP. The one from the NTUCB, they decided to cancel their application for today's protest.
So the PUP one was?
No application was received from the opposition.
And the PUP one was approved?
The PUP did submit an application to protest, and that was approved.
And what's the limit of their protest? We have see people on the stairs here.
Well, there's a designated area for them to gather, and that was they had applied, and we approved that designated place.
Sir, there are two things that have arisen in the last few days seeing these demonstrations. One, the NTUCB has called out the police department for not approving a permit to protest because the UDP was protesting at the same location. And then the BCWJ, they are saying that you all retracted, in a sense, 2 days that they were going to be allowed to protest, and they're saying this is anti-democratic. Like, it's not for them to worry whether the police has sufficient police to put on the ground. It's their right.
They did reach out to me, the former employees of the BTL. They did reach out to me, and I contacted the commander, and there was an error within the bond that was issued, and they was subsequently granted permission to protest.
The error was on the part of the police, or who?
On the part of the police, and hence the reason the amendment was made, and they were granted permission to do the protest.
Sir, but it's really becoming questionable because you keep making these errors and these technicalities to serve your purpose. Like with Yellow Man under the charge of be one member of a gang, at least that's what the farm said, but it's to work in your favor and against the demonstrators.
Like I mentioned, Yellow Man was detained for inciting violence based on certain statements or certain reports that were received from within the United Democratic Party that he was sending out messages to inciting violence. And the police had to act on that information to prevent any violence from occurring.
So was there miscommunication? Because when you go before a court of law, that same suspect acknowledgement form will work against you. That's what's in writing.
What acronym that was there, we are still trying to ascertain that acronym that somebody placed there. We are not sure if it was placed by an investigator, but I can ascertain that the Yellow Man was detained for inciting violence, and the investigation is ongoing at the moment.
So today we see that there are additional cameras in this location, like the ones that are placed in Belize City on the street, too actually. So demonstrators should be warned that their actions may also end up with charges.
Well, like I mentioned, whenever a bond is issued to protest, there are certain conditions that are stipulated, that are agreed upon by the party, by the individual or the organization applying for the permit. And based on that, there are certain steps that we must take to ensure that the conditions of the bonds are adhered to.
Commissioner, are you satisfied with the officers' work at the protest at Social Security Board?
Like I mentioned before, it was unfortunate that the United Democratic Party decided to breach the agreed condition of the permit, and it may have legal consequences. Our decision that day was a professional decision to ensure that we have a peaceful outcome rather than escalate to a more catastrophic use of force.
Sir, could you talk about the weapon of choice for the officers today? I see a lot of big sticks. Batons. Whopping sticks.
The batons that the police officers are items of kits that were issued to them, and it's part of the kits based on in accordance with our policies.
Plan to use them today?
The police department have exercised extreme restraint, even in the face of provocation. And I want to personally thank all my police officers for exercising extreme restraint during provocations.
The Belize Communication Workers for Justice, did they appeal the application for today? Did they end up getting it?
We did not receive any application for permit.
Appeal.
They said that it was rejected and then they appealed it.
That's the one for the BTL workers?
Yes.
Yes, they did submit an application for appeal, and that approval was granted for them to protest, and they will be protesting in Belize City today.
Sir, going back to approach, the UDP demonstrators were out on Beacon Bridge for at least about 20 minutes, blocking traffic on that bridge. They weren't blocking the roundabout, so they weren't entirely blocking entry into Belize City, but say they were have responded differently.
Like I said, that day we exercised a professional discretion to have a peaceful outcome rather than escalate to the next level. The opposition decided to breach the condition of the agreed upon condition of the bond.
Talk to us about the offense committed about blocking a thoroughfare, is it?
Several offenses were committed that day, and it may have legal consequences against the organizers. We are reviewing it along with our legal team, and legal consequences may follow against the organizers.
Commissioner of Police, is Rosado. As I was explaining, this is sitting of the House of Representatives and
violence, according to the police department. That is what they are saying. However, when Yellow Man was then released that same day, he did deny all those claims. He boldly said if the police has any evidence against him for messaging people to incite violence, then he welcomes the police department to bring that forward. He maintains that he did not, and he also mentioned that he may be looking into doing or acting on taking legal action against the police department. So that's what Dr. Rosado was mentioning or speaking on just now. He also spoke on the breach, what he called the breach of the permit given to the UDP protesters that same days. That according to him, they did violate the law when they marched to the Balkan Bridge. So at this moment over here, we have the drumming has just started again, and we still see people trickling in to the National Assembly at this moment. So this is the part here of the National Assembly that's being guarded by police. Each police, he did mention, Commissioner of Police also mentioned that the police today are equipped with batons, recently acquired kits. And each police, we can see that they are prepared and equipped with the baton to take action if necessary, Commissioner of Police said today in today's protest. So we're expecting more people coming in because, as he mentioned, Commissioner of Police mentioned that the police department is prepared today for a protest. And he did mention as well that the workers' union group were granted the permit to protest in Belize City. So we are also expect to see them active over on that side. So this is the situation right now. So why they're being out here is basically they're showing a stance. We have supporters of the acquisition of SpeedNet Smart by BTL, but we also have those who oppose the acquisition. So today is simply what we see is people gathering in front of the National Assembly. What we do know right now is that there is to be a house sitting right now or today. But we understand, or the UDP issued a press release, the UDP United Democratic Party, the opposition, issued a release stating that the UDP caucus, parliamentary caucus, will be boycotting the sitting. So we also expect them to, we're not sure if they will be showing up. We're still waiting to see if they will be showing up, their supporters, just as they did just last this Wednesday, which that passed. So we're here today just to bring you coverage and show you what's going on right now at this moment. So let's get closer to the drummings right now and enjoy some entertainment as we wait for the day to progress. So as you guys can notice right now, the National Assembly is barricaded right now with actually a very good strategy of police arrangement. We have the barricade right at the front and we have some policemen also guarding that. We also have more at the back here. We see another like boundary of police guiding that portion more in the inner part of the National Assembly, and we have some people just right now waiting to see what's gonna be the action taken and what's not. So now today
and once again, we're live at the steps of the National Assembly building here in Belmopan. But of course, while this rally is happening outside, official business is taking place inside, despite the opposition boycott. So we're going to turn it over to the live session of the House of Representatives, live on News 5, and we will be right here out with us on Facebook because we'll be having coverage throughout the day from outside the National Assembly. So now,
here at the National Assembly, and
we are here live. News 5 Live, Benita, Shane, we're here for News 5 Live. This is Greater Belize Television.
North, the member for Mesopotamia, the member for Queen Square, and the member for Kaya West. All other members who are not currently seated in the chamber have indicated to the office of the clerk of their arriving late at today's sitting. With quorum, we proceed. Honorable members, today we meet for the first regular sitting of the House in the new renovated National Assembly building. The building was made possible with the initial grant from the Republic of China Taiwan of approximately $1.5 million, or 27% of the total renovation cost. The remaining 73%, approximately $4.3 million, was met by the government of Belize. With just over 21,000 square feet, the cost came in at just under $300 per square foot. The formal handing over of the keys to the National Assembly building was completed on Wednesday of this week from the MIDH project manager to the clerk of the National Assembly. Highlights of the renovation includes upgraded building systems, that is electrical, plumbing, ventilation, fire safety, and cleaner energy efficient systems, enhanced security features, technology readiness, preservation of institutional, historical, and symbolic character, particularly on the exterior, improved public and visitor areas, accessibility upgrades to support inclusive access for those with mobility issues, expanded office and workspaces, a modernized main parliamentary chamber, and committee rooms, as well as capacity for future growth. Honorable members, it is your support that made this transformation possible. Through your approval of the budget allocations and the valued input when we commenced the work and consultations with members as well as the media for minimum indications of prioritized needs for a more modern, functional, and accessible space for a building and work environment, this was of significant help to the entire process. During the course of this month, we hope to complete the short documentary chronicling the history of the building and the renovation process. I take this opportunity to thank members from the government, from the opposition of this House and members from the upper house, as well from the government, opposition, and the social partners for their contribution to this important historical moment in the life of the National Assembly, with their contributions and remarks in the documentary. The most common comment should be of no surprise to no member. It has been long overdue after 55 years, with the increase in number of members, increase in the number of staff, and the varied legislative processes that have evolved over time. Honorable members, during the course of today's sitting, it is our fervent hope that most, if not all, members who are present will allow the clerk and her team to provide you with an orientation of the new space. This upgraded National Assembly is better equipped to serve members, staff, the media, and the public, both now and into the future. On Monday, February 2nd, we had the first joint sitting here on the occasion and distinct honor of having the President of Guyana, His Excellency, Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, address both the House of Representatives and the Senate of the National Assembly of Belize. We have since identified areas on how we can improve the experience and order of proceedings for future ceremonial and joint sittings, and will ensure that these are implemented for any future joint sittings. Honorable members, in this same vein, we have provided in your respective members' room a feedback form to each of you for today's sitting, and hope you will take time to fill it out in order that any areas of improvement for efficient meeting operations and functionality can be addressed in time for the next House sitting. This building is more than brick and mortar. It is the place where the people's business is debated, where laws are shaped, and where the principles of accountability and representation are put into action. It is, as in many parliaments, a place where all members and visitors should feel comfortable and safe. Given the history and critical importance of this institution as a separate branch of government, the legislature, it was also important to allow the space for visitor information and promotion of civic education on the role of the Parliament and the history of the building. In continued collaboration with the National Institute of Culture and History, we will continue to work on completing information panels in designated public areas to accomplish this objective. These renovations reflect a commitment to strengthening the institution, modernizing our facilities, while preserving the dignity, the history, and the authority of this House. Honorable members, in addition to the newly renovated space and improved working environment, I take this opportunity on this first sitting, regular sitting for the new year, that we have established a tentative parliamentary meeting calendar for the House of Representatives. While there could be more than one House meeting a month, the calendar establishes the minimum of one meeting a month, which is based on the average that parliamentary administrations in Belize have operated by. Therefore, the aim is to set aside the first Friday of every month as House meeting dates, except when the Parliament is on its official recess. The objective is to assist the executive in planning its legislative agenda per month, you, the members, to plan your schedules for attending meetings, for the staff to plan and prepare more effectively between the two houses and the various legislative and administrative processes that occur in between these dates. Consequently, honorable members, next week you will be receiving the tentative calendar listing the proposed House meeting dates per month, along with the weeks assigned for House committee meetings, the recess periods as per the standing orders, the public and bank holidays for 2026, and any other notable special event days for the Parliament. We hope with support from across all offices, this initiative will help with forward planning and coordination on your behalf. We will do our best to notify of any changes in dates in advance as circumstances from time to time do change. Finally, honorable members, today for the first time in, I dare say, a couple years, we have visitors in our public galleries. To you, the visitors, I say welcome. Attendance at meetings of the National Assembly of Belize is a privilege granted to visitors and is subject to rules, security, procedures, and the parliamentary control exercised by the Speaker at House meetings. I remind visitors that you are expected to conduct yourselves in a manner that respects the standing orders of the House and upholds the authority of the Speaker. The rules remain the same. In general, no noise, no eating, drinking, no smoking or vaping, no use of phones, photography, or recording device, and no disruptive, disorderly behavior. And of course, visitors to the Parliament must dress in a manner appropriate to the formal and constitutional nature of the National Assembly. In an effort to allow the parliamentary proceedings to be conducted without or with least interruption as possible, I remind visitors that the Speaker retains the right to have visitors escorted outside the building for failure to comply with the visitor rules, and I thank you in advance for your cooperation in this matter. And now for the business of the day. Honorable members, a vacancy has arisen in the Joint Public Accounts Committee. The matter falls to be dealt with by the Committee of Selection in accordance with Standing Order 73. Is it the wish of the House that the sitting be suspended to allow the Committee of Selection to meet and report back to the House? All those in favor kindly say aye. Aye. Those against kindly say no. I think the ayes have it. The sitting is now suspended until the Committee of Selection has concluded its business.